What is that in real time?
Based on positive feedback from my Patreon community, I thought I'd do something a little bit different today and share with you some real-time weathering techniques that I used on the Panther just recently using oils and pigments. And the hope is that it will give you guys an opportunity to watch this technique evolve in the hope that you might be able to use that on your own models. So there are no bells and whistles here, just raw footage and me talking over the top of it. So take it for what it's worth. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started.
Well, this could take a while.
Starting to build up my weathering effects on this side, or through the wheels and on the side panels there, the skirt armour. But I've also been experimenting in through around this area, so this is the kind of look we're trying to achieve. I wanted it to be weathered without being too overstated, and it was just about trying to find a balance between that camo scheme and the colours that I'm going to use. But what I'm doing, these are the two oil paints that I'm using, which is a light mud and a colour called dust. Like an artist would with an oil paint, you can create a bit of volume and texture in the oil paint, which I don't think you'll be able to do with the oil brushes. They're more just for colour and shading and things, whereas with these you can get a bit more bulk on your brush, which will allow me to create a bit more volume in that oil paint area. But certainly have a go with what you've got. The other couple of things I'm using is European earth, which is pretty stock standard, and that's dark earth. It's as old as the hills, this one, but it's just an earthy brown colour. And then of course got the white spirit, and I'll just do a little video just to show you the techniques I'm using here. I'm using this technique of putting the oil down over the dust we've already created with our airbrush. I'll put the oil down, and then we're going to add some texture and whatnot with that dried pigment. And the dry pigment I'm also using over places that don't have oil, just to introduce a little bit of a dusty feel and integrate things together. So I might just let the camera run and poke away at it, and you'll get the idea of how I'm building it up. I'll work on this side. I have been experimenting with other colours and things, so don't worry too much about what's going on here, because I'll just go over the top of it. Yeah, I was just chasing a particular look, and I think I've kind of found it on this side of what I'm happy with. So here we go. The three brushes I'm using, just a real old scabby nothing brush. I'll use this to create textures in my oil paint. I'm using this is actually a dry brushing brush, and I'll use this just to move the pigment onto the model. And this is a brush that I'm just going to use sparingly, with a bit of white spirit if I need to blend something or drag something in a downward motion. So these are the three main brushes I'll be using. In terms of the oil paints, I don't even bother putting them on. People say you have to put it on cardboard to wick the linseed oil away. That might be the case with some oils, but these are pretty dry, just straight out of the tube. So all I'm going to do is just touch the end of the paintbrush onto the oil, and that's enough. I've got enough paint on the brush to get a result, so that's all I'll be doing. And then all I'm going to do, just think about it logically. So we've already set our dust tones in through here and chipped them away a bit. So all I'm going to do is just start dabbing this oil paint, and you can see, well, I'm hoping you can see, I'm not pushing that hard at all. I'm just dabbing it in and around, just re-establishing these dust tones that I got with the paints before. with that dust colored paint. Now I'm getting some of that lighter toned oil paint. Probably a bit much on the brush there. So I'm not going over the exact same areas. I'm happy to have the two colours as separate things. Then I can go back with my dry pigment, like literally this is just dry pigment. Straight out, just dipping the brush in, knocking a bit off. Now I don't want to be stabbing too hard because I'll lose those textures. I'm just touching it and dabbing that dry pigment in over the top. Hopefully I'm touching it just enough so the dried pigment, it will grab onto that semi-wet oil paint, or that sticky oil paint if you like. And then all I'll do is make sure that one's out of the way, just give it a little blow just to clear off the excess and to give me a better look at what I've created there. And then if I just poke away at the edges, it might expose some of that chipping that we got with that dusting layer from before. So it's starting to create some really interesting textures and tones in through here. And if you want to bulk this up a little bit more, I'd use some of the dark earth. I'm being quite refined with the dark earth one because I don't want that to dominate. I want that European earth and those lighter tones to be the dominant colour through here. We want to make sure the panels are all relatively sort of cohesive here together, but it's okay to treat them almost as separate panels that might have been put on, taken off. Although the camouflage is all integrated, so they probably wouldn't be putting on and off like I'm suggesting, but it's okay to think about how the dust might build up around the edges and things. I didn't mind how this was looking in through here, but yeah, that's probably doing these techniques isn't going to give us that kind of look. Through the top here and on the tracks, you could just get the dried pigment and just literally just don't overload it, because if we just do this everywhere, we're gonna just flatten everything out and we're not going to get the little punches of color through. So I would treat this quite sparingly. Now this is just dried pigment, but because I've got that sort of semi-matte finish on here, it should grab onto it reasonably okay. It won't keep the textures and things, but it should give us that dusty kind of feel. Hopefully that's showing through. So I'm going to start working away on the wheels now with the same technique. You'll find with these two oil colors, the different colors will give you different looks on. Because we got all the different colored wheels here, I would try and think about which of those two colors is going to give you the most sort of pop on the colors that you've got. So I'm finding this this lighter gray tone, which one's that? Dust, kind of works nicer on the yellow wheels, and the light mud kind of works a little bit better on the colored wheels. But definitely integrate the two. You can definitely do that. And again, you can use this to build up texture. Like there's literally volume in that oil paint just as it is. and come back with the pigment. Just real light stabbing. If it's not blending and not getting the look that you're hoping for, you can always just dab a little bit harder, and that will help blend things out. But you may need to come back and reapply the oil paint just to build that up a little bit more. I'm not trying to cover the whole area. I'm trying to be reasonably random with how that's going down. I'm trying to stay off the rubber sections. It doesn't matter if it goes on like I just did there, but in terms of the oil paints, I don't really need to be building those up too much. We can just sort of pick away at those with a little bit of dried pigment just to give us that dusty look. Starting to build that technique up, that effect up. Just a little bit of dark in there just to introduce some different color and different tone. I'm just going to work my way around the whole side of this model. And with the tracks, now I did a lot of this, a lot of these effects before the model was built, but we can now go back and enhance them. I mean, even if you just use the oil paint, just the oil paint, even just almost like dry brush, and you can see it sort of cakes up and gives you a bit of a look. Again, you don't want to go to full coverage, and you can mix the two different colors to give you variation. Always a good idea. We don't want anything to look too get off. Don't want anything to look too similar all over. Then again, come back with dried pigments. And we're starting to build up our effects. You can see I was kind of playing around with it in through the bottom here as well. But I'm going to add far more volume in through here. Don't worry about the underside, I was experimenting there. So I will press on. So I had a bit of a problem with the audio recording before for some reason. I had to change the battery out and it turned the audio recording off. So what I was saying on these horizontal surfaces, but just being a lot more refined in what I'm doing. So you would have seen some of the vision. Just trying to keep it to these front corners, in and around maybe some of the covers and whatnot. I've probably gone way too heavy around here, but it was just an experiment really, just to have a play with what it was going to feel like, because once the turret's on, that will all but disappear. Because the oil paint is still so soft, this is probably maybe 3 or 4 hours since I did this. I can still come back and manipulate this, so I probably could refine this a bit more. You will have a working window with this though, because it will eventually dry.
but for now I can kind of move it around a little bit. But it's all right, it's looking okay. So as I move up through the shapes, that's how the sides are looking at the moment, the wheels. Everything's looking pretty good. As I move up, my coverage is going to be less, horizontal surfaces are going to be less. I've established my dust with the airbrush and the chipping all through here. I'm not really going to add too much more to that. I think that's probably going to tie in pretty nicely. A lot of those tones and colours are very similar to what we're using with our pigments. But I will just make a few enhancements just around these front corners. I just add a little bit of dust just to help tie it in. Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. It just needs a little bit of help around these areas, I think, and maybe just in around the turret, in the cupola, or cupola, however you want to say it. So I'll start working on that. So going in with the light mud, it's actually going to get a little bit tricky around some of these tie downs or grab handles or whatever you want to call them. That's where I want to try and build up my dust through there. You don't have to use this brush. If you wanted to use something that gave you a little bit better angle, like even a Q-tip can help. Now I guess up on these upper surfaces I don't want too much texture from that oil paint, because this is supposed to just be that layer of superficial dust sitting up in here. And back over with the pigment, just like I have been doing on the sides. And that stabbing motion. I can press harder here because I'm not so worried about keeping textures in the oils. This is really just about getting a foundation of dust down. Give it a blow. A little look at it. Just blend the edges in a bit more to make it less obvious. Just grinding a bit more of that pigment in. Again, just to make that a little less obvious. If I'm still not happy with it, I can always come back with the makeup sponge and soften the edges out. Just kind of building this up where it might gather, where it might settle and maybe hasn't been disrupted by crew movement or, well, I guess crew movement. You can just work it to the edges. If you feel it's bulking up too much, just work it towards the edges. It'll just smooth things out, but it'll leave some interesting dust deposits there. So I'll continue to build that up. Come back in with that dust colour. Working on those corners and front edges and whatnot. Back over with the pigment. That dabbing motion.
And then I can just refine it literally by dragging the brush over it. If I'm not happy with it, I can add a bit more pigment, give it a bit more of a grind in, push it around. I just need to be mindful just not to go too heavy, especially on these top layers, because it can just become a bit of a dusty mess otherwise. It's very much about refinement, this technique, because it can get away from you, and it might have got away from me a little bit on this, but I was enjoying the process. But like I said, once we'll put another dark wash on that, and it'll start to calm things down a lot, or at least reintroduce some of the shapes that have been stolen because of this powdery pigment that's going on. But it's getting pretty close, I think. I think it's looking all right.
So what did you think? It's pretty quick and easy, isn't it, to get a good result? And it's something that you can use across all types of models. Let me know if this is something that you'll be trying for yourself, or let me know in the comments down below if you like this style of video. Would you like to see more of this style of video? I'll still be doing the other ones, but looking to integrate a bit more of this if people are wanting it. Now, this is a style of video I'm sharing over on my Patreon page all of the time. So if you would like to see more of this and additional content like that, you could always dial into that community and get your fix there. And I got to tell you, that would help me a great deal. But more than that, I guarantee you, if you come and dial into that community, you will see vast improvements in your own modeling. It's an absolute guarantee. SMC is just around the corner for me. I honestly can't believe I'm going. I'm that excited. Now, next week, I should have a build video on the Takom SD KFZ 250 for you to sink your teeth in. And to say good things come in small packages is truly an understatement. This one is an absolute ripper. You know the drill, guys. This is the greatest hobby in the world. Share it with your family and share it with your friends, and let's be proud of what we do. Until next time, I will see you soon.
Well, try it. You might like it.